My mother-in-law's voice dripped with satisfaction as she read from Grandma Rose's will, her eyes gleaming with barely concealed malice. And to my beloved grandson's wife, Sophia, I leave the abandoned farm on Miller's Road. It's all someone like her deserves. The way she emphasized those last words made my stomach turn. I sat there in the lawyer's office, my hands clasped tightly in my lap, refusing to give her the satisfaction of seeing me react. Around the mahogany table sat the rest of the family, my husband Daniel, who squeezed my hand supportively, his sister Emma, who kept shooting me meaningful glances, and of course Margaret, my mother-in-law, who had never missed an opportunity to remind me that I wasn't good enough for her precious son. A worthless piece of land for a worthless addition to the family, Margaret added under her breath, but loud enough for everyone to hear. Daniel started to protest, but I squeezed his hand, silently asking him to let it go. We'd been married for 5 years, and I learned that engaging with Margaret only made things worse. The reading continued, with Margaret receiving the bulk of the estate, the family mansion, the investments, and most of the heirlooms. She could barely contain her triumphant smile as Mr. Patterson, the family lawyer, listed item after item. Emma received a modest sum and some jewelry, while Daniel got his grandfather's vintage car collection. As we filed out of the office, Emma caught up to me in the hallway. "Sophia, wait," she whispered, glancing around to make sure no one else was within earshot. "Come to the farm with me tomorrow. There's something you need to see." Before I could ask what she meant, Margaret's sharp voice cut through the air. "Emma, we're having dinner at the mansion to celebrate. You're coming, aren't you?" Her tone made it clear it wasn't really a question. Emma straightened up and called back, "Of course, Mother." Then she quickly squeezed my arm and whispered, "Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Don't tell anyone." That evening, as Daniel and I drove home to our modest apartment, he kept apologizing. "I'm so sorry about Mother. And about the farm. I know it's not much, but maybe we could fix it up." I smiled at his attempt to find a silver lining. "It's okay, really. Your grandmother didn't owe me anything." But my mind kept drifting to Emma's cryptic behavior. In the 5 years I'd been married to Daniel, Emma had always been kind to me, but we weren't particularly close. She usually kept to herself, spending most of her time managing the local library and avoiding family drama. The next morning, I told Daniel I was going to check out the farm. "Want me to come with you?" he offered, but I remembered Emma's words about not telling anyone. "No, you've got that important meeting. I'll just take some photos and measurements, maybe start thinking about what we could do with the place." He kissed me goodbye, and I felt a twinge of guilt for not telling him about meeting Emma. The farm was about an hour's drive from the city, down winding country roads that became progressively more neglected. By the time I turned onto Miller's Road, the pavement had given way to gravel. The property itself was marked by a weathered wooden sign that read Rose Family Farm, though the letters were so faded they were barely legible. Emma's blue sedan was already parked near the old farmhouse when I pulled up. She was sitting on the porch steps, her usually pristine librarian's outfit replaced by jeans and a flannel shirt. She jumped up as soon as she saw me. "You came." She hugged me, which was surprising. Emma wasn't usually the hugging type. "There's so much I need to tell you, but first, we should check the barn." As we walked across the overgrown field toward the massive old barn, Emma began to explain. Grandma Rose wasn't always the quiet, submissive woman Mother made her out to be. Before Grandpa died, she was different, strong, independent. She ran this entire farm by herself while Grandpa was away during a war. The barn loomed before us, its red paint peeling but its structure still solid. Emma pulled a key from her pocket. "Mother thinks this place is worthless because she never bothered to really know it. But Grandma..." She paused, working the old lock. "Grandma knew exactly what she was doing when she left it to you." The heavy door creaked open, revealing a cavernous space filled with old farming equipment, stacks of hay, and decades of accumulated dust. Emma walked purposefully toward the back, where a trapdoor was partially hidden under some old feed bags. "Last month, before she died, Grandma called me to the hospital. She made me memorize some very specific instructions." Emma's voice shook slightly. She said, "When the will is read, take Sophia to the barn. She's the only one who can be trusted with what's down there." My heart was pounding as Emma pulled away the bags, revealing a heavy iron ring set into the wooden floor. "Grandma said Mother tried to force her to sell this place years ago, but she refused. Now I know why." "Emma, I finally found my voice. What exactly did your grandmother hide down there? She gripped the iron ring with both hands and began to pull. Something that's going to change everything, Sophia. Something Mother would have sold without a second thought. The trapdoor groaned as it opened, revealing a set of steep stairs descending into darkness. Emma pulled out a flashlight and handed me one too. Ready? She asked, her eyes bright with excitement. I nodded, my mind racing with possibilities. As we began our descent into the darkness beneath the barn, I couldn't help but wonder, what could Grandma Rose have hidden that was worth keeping secret for so long? And why did she choose to leave it to me, the daughter-in-law her own daughter despised? The answers, waiting somewhere in the darkness below, would change our lives forever. The wooden stairs creaked under our feet as Emma and I descended into the darkness. Our flashlight beams cut through the musty air, revealing stone walls on either side. The space smelled of earth and age, but surprisingly not of decay. It was dry and well-preserved. Grandma had this cellar built during the war, Emma explained, her voice hushed. She told everyone it was for storing preserves and root vegetables. But that wasn't the whole truth. At the bottom of the stairs, we found ourselves in a long corridor. The beam of my flashlight revealed something unexpected. Metal shelving units lining both walls, stretching into the darkness. But instead of preserves or vegetables, they held hundreds of leather-bound books, stacked neatly and protected by glass cases. Oh my God! I breathed, stepping closer. These weren't just any books. They were first editions, rare volumes, some looking centuries old. Are these? Emma nodded excitedly. Grandma Rose was a secret collector. She spent years building this library using the money she made from selling the farm's produce. Mother never knew. She thought Grandma was just a simple farmer's wife. I carefully lifted one of the glass cases and picked up a book. My hands trembled as I read the title page. Pride and Prejudice, First Edition, 1813. Next to it sat Wuthering Heights, 1847, and Jane Eyre, 1847, all first editions. But this is just the beginning, Emma said, leading me deeper into the corridor. Grandma didn't just collect books, she preserved history. The next section held historical documents, letters signed by historical figures, original maps, and even what appeared to be Revolutionary War-era correspondence. Each item was carefully preserved in climate control cases. The temperature and humidity down here are perfectly regulated, Emma explained. Grandma had a state-of-the-art system installed in secret, piece by piece, over decades. She knew exactly what she was doing. We reached the end of the corridor, where a heavy metal door stood. Emma pulled out another key, this one small and golden. This is what Grandma gave me in the hospital. She said only you should see what's inside. The lock clicked open and Emma pushed the door wide. My flashlight beam revealed a smaller room, and what I saw inside took my breath away. Display cases filled with jewelry, not costume pieces, but genuine antiques. Victorian cameos, Georgian rings, Art Deco necklaces, all carefully labeled with their provenance. Grandma Rose spent her entire life collecting and preserving these treasures, Emma said softly. She knew Mother would sell everything without understanding their true value, not just their monetary worth, but their historical significance. I walked slowly around the room, marveling at each piece. But why me? Why did she leave all this to me? Emma smiled. Because she watched you, Sophia. She saw how you treated the family heirlooms Mother gave you to test you. Instead of selling them, you researched their history, preserved them properly. You understood their value beyond just money. Tears welled in my eyes as I remembered the gentle conversations I'd had with Grandma Rose about antique teacups and vintage photographs. I thought she was just being polite, but she'd been evaluating me all along. There's one more thing, Emma said, pulling an envelope from her pocket. Grandma left this for you. I promised to give it to you only after you'd seen everything. With trembling hands, I opened the letter. Dear Sophia, if you're reading this, then Emma has shown you my life's work. What began as a hobby during the war, collecting books to preserve them from being destroyed, became my passion. Every piece in this collection tells a story, holds a piece of history that deserves to be protected. I've watched you over the years, seen how Margaret's cruelty never hardened your heart. You have the same love for history and preservation that I do. That's why I'm entrusting everything to you. The farm isn't worthless, it's priceless, not just because of what's in the cellar, but because of what it represents, the power of preserving what others might carelessly destroy. There's a letter in the blue folder on my desk upstairs containing contacts at various museums and universities. They know about the collection and have been helping me maintain it. They'll help you too. Take care of these treasures, dear girl. And remember, sometimes the most valuable things are hidden beneath what others dismiss as worthless. With love and trust, Grandma Rose. I looked up at Emma, who was smiling through tears of her own. She spent months planning this, Emma said. She knew exactly what Mother would do, how she would try to humiliate you with the farm. But Grandma Rose knew something Mother never understood. What's that? I asked, carefully folding the letter. That true worth isn't about money or status. It's about understanding the value of preserving what matters. Emma squeezed my hand. Now, want to see what's in that blue folder? We've got some calls to make before Mother figures out what she really gave away. I nodded, my mind already racing with plans. Grandma Rose had trusted me with not just a collection, but a legacy. And I was going to honor that trust, no matter what Margaret thought of her worthless gift. 3 days later, Margaret burst into the farmhouse without knocking, her face flushed with anger. "What's this nonsense about historians coming to visit?" she demanded, waving her phone. "I've been getting calls about some sort of collection." I sat calmly at Grandma Rose's old desk, surrounded by carefully organized folders. "They're from the National Historical Society," I replied. "They're very interested in documenting Grandma Rose's preservation work." Preservation? Rose was a farmer's wife. Margaret scoffed, but I noticed a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. What could she possibly have preserved? "Why don't I show you?" I stood up, enjoying the way Margaret's expression shifted between confusion and mounting concern. "Emma, they're ready," I called out. Emma appeared with 3 distinguished-looking individuals: Dr. Thompson from the Historical Society, Professor Chen from the State University's Rare Books Department, and Ms. Roberts, a renowned antique jewelry appraiser. Margaret's eyes widened as they introduced themselves. "Mrs. Wheeler," Dr. Thompson began, "your mother's collection is absolutely remarkable. The preservation techniques she used were decades ahead of their time." "Collection?" Margaret's voice had lost its sharp edge. "What collection?" I led the group toward the barn, Margaret trailing behind. As we descended the stairs to the cellar, I heard her gasp. The space had been transformed in just 3 days. Proper lighting installed, the climate control system upgraded, and every item meticulously cataloged. "This is impossible," Margaret whispered, staring at the rows of rare books. "Mother couldn't have. Where did she get all this?" "Your mother," Professor Chen explained, "was a pioneering force in historical preservation. She spent decades building relationships with collectors worldwide. Her correspondence alone is worthy of study." Ms. Roberts added, "And her jewelry collection includes pieces we thought were lost to history. The Victorian mourning jewelry alone has museum quality." I watched as Margaret's face cycled through emotions: shock, disbelief, and finally, a dawning horror as she realized what she'd given away. But this can't be legal. These things should have been included in the estate." Actually, Emma stepped forward, holding a document. "Grandma Rose registered this collection as a separate historical trust years ago. She left the farm to Sophia because the collection legally goes with the property. It's all quite binding." Margaret sank onto a chair, her perfectly manicured hands trembling. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would she leave all this to me?" I finished for her. "Because Grandma Rose knew I would preserve it, not sell it off piece by piece." I walked over to one of the display cases and gently touched the glass. She trusted me to understand that some things are worth more than their price tag. "We'll need to begin the documentation process immediately," Dr. Thompson said. "Mrs. Wheeler, Sophia, we'd like to feature the collection in our upcoming exhibition on women preservationists. Your grandmother will finally get the recognition she deserves." Later that evening, after everyone had left, Daniel came to the farm. He'd been away on a business trip and had missed all the excitement. I watched his face as I showed him everything, telling him about his grandmother's secret life and incredible legacy. "I had no idea," he kept saying, touching the spines of books older than our country. "All those quiet afternoons she spent in the barn. We all thought she was just puttering around with her garden." "She was protecting history," I said softly, "one piece at a time." We climbed back upstairs and stepped out onto the porch. The setting sun painted the old barn in shades of gold, making it look less abandoned and more dignified. You know, Daniel said, putting his arm around me. Mother called me today. She sounded different. I leaned into his embrace. Different how? Humbled, I think. She asked if we'd consider hosting Christmas here this year. He paused. She also said she might have been wrong about you. I smiled, thinking of the letter from Grandma Rose, safely stored in my desk. Your grandmother knew exactly what she was doing, I said. She didn't just leave me a collection, she left me a way to become part of the family's real legacy. As if on cue, Emma's car pulled up. She'd been helping me catalog items all week, her librarian's skills proving invaluable. She waved a folder as she walked up. Wait until you see what I found in Grandma's correspondence. Letters from the Underground Railroad. This farm wasn't just storing history, it was part of it. Looking at Emma's excited face and feeling Daniel's supportive presence beside me, I realized Grandma Rose had given me something even more precious than her collection. She'd given me a chance to show that true worth isn't in what you own, but in what you choose to preserve, whether it's historical treasures or family bonds. Margaret might have thought she was punishing me with a worthless farm, but Grandma Rose knew better. She knew that sometimes the most valuable things are hidden beneath the surface, waiting for someone who cares enough to discover them.